Hello, it's half-time in Stoke. 4 down and 4 to run in the Tour of Britain, and the racing is getting harder by the day. The sunshine of Stanley Park in Blackpool saw stage 4 off to a gentle start, but it didn't take long for the racing to kick in. Least surprising move of the day, an attack from Thomas de Gent.
And look at this is an attack unfurling already, and we've barely covered 500 metres.
The break which established itself included Aussie Simon Clark from ISD, Irish champ Nico Roach and CSF Navigare's Federico Canuti. They rode out alone with the bunch holding them steady all the way over the biggest climbs of the day, including the Tour's first Cap 1 climb over Waddington Fell. On the descent though, they were joined by a hugely powerful trio made up of Vladimir Carpets, Maxime Montfort and Geoffroy Lecatre. So then there was 6. 6 of the best though against the bunch, the gap shrinking and then finally disappearing altogether.
And it looks like Columbia at the front here. Now then, that is absolutely amazing. It's Bosenhagen who takes it again.
But behind him, in the final kilometre, there was a nasty crash. 2 riders coming together and bringing down a whole load more. The dusting down and picking themselves up process revealed damage to some, in particular Peter van Speybroek and Ian Wilkinson of Halfords. The crash had a limited effect on the GC. The 3 kilometre rule handed everyone the same time, although Bosenhagen's 10-second time bonus means that he now lurks just 1 second off the pace. Chris Sutton's at 5, Martin Reimer at 11 seconds and Michele Merlo by no means out of it at 14 seconds. In fact, it's congested right down the order. There are still 72 riders within a minute. Well, a messy end to the day's racing, but a very clean-cut winner. Edvald Bosenhagen, Graham, no one can beat him on this tour, can they?
No, second stage win already. I expect to see more of him, but I think the main thing is he's turned out to be the overall race favourite now.
Absolutely. There was a time on yesterday's stage when that 6 got together, when they had a chance, didn't they? If you looked at the quality in that breakaway, Lecatre and Carpets, the likes of those sort of riders, they had a chance.
They did. At one point I did think they might have gone all the way to the line. It would have made the overall thing very tight, but I do think we're looking at Bosenhagen as the man to beat.
Yeah, we've seen the last of Bradley Wiggins as well, Graham. I mean, you can understand that, can't you?
Yes, I mean, it's disappointing for the crowd, the Tour of Britain itself, but he's got a World Time Trial target next week, and I can see him gone home now to taper off his training, especially for that.
Yeah, well, of course, the other big story of yesterday's run-in was that huge crash and the damage it caused. Well, unfortunately, Peter van Speybroek, the Belgian rider who suffered a deep gash to his elbow, also picked up a broken rib, and he's had to fly off home to Belgium early this morning. Now, the other rider we saw cross the line in no sort of shape at all was Ian Wilkinson, but he has made it to the start this morning in Stoke.
Yeah, it was a pretty good crash. A bit battered and bruised, a few stitches, and we're back together. And luckily, I'm not as bad off as someone else, so I'm quite pleased to start, you know, and hope everyone else is all right.
Stage 5 starts and finishes in Stoke, but that's about the only bit of it which is simple. The profile resembles the output of a heart rate monitor as it rises and falls all the way along 134 kilometres. It's downhill first into Stone before climbing Wootton Hill and then Gun Hill. A Cat 3 at Cheddleton and a sprint at Wedgwood, and then head for the finish in the town centre. Stoke City, where the race starts today, dominates the skyline of a town where once Sir Stanley kicked his leather. No sponsored stadiums in his day, and certainly not in his day. Josiah Wedgwood set up shop here and churned out crockery like nobody's business. Outside the town, the bunch will breathe in some fresh Staffordshire air before turning and heading back into town in time for a cup of tea. Well, Ross, it's a great opportunity to put Staffordshire and Stoke in the shop window, isn't it? What do you want the viewers to take away from watching today's stage?
Well, I think it's also a good point for the people of Stoke-on-Trent and North Staffordshire to celebrate the Tour of Britain. I mean, it's quite an achievement for a city such as Stoke-on-Trent to get, I think it's stage 5 here, and we've been planning it for a long time along with the organisers, and I know that the people of Stoke-on-Trent are very much behind what we've done, and I welcome it. It's a wonderful day, and I think the people of the entire region of North Staffordshire will be very pleased that we got it here.
Well, as far as I can remember, Graham, from last year, the finish is really steep here, isn't it?
It is. It's exactly the same run-in. We saw last year an extraordinary sort of acceleration by Bosenhagen, but last year it was a slightly different stage, a little bit flatter. This year it's going to be a really tough hilly stage with lots of crosswinds. They'll come into play today. and I certainly see a smaller group coming into Stoke.
Put your money where your mouth is. £5, Bosenhagen, hat-trick?
Definitely.
Okay. Well, the Rafa Condor team will be hoping that a bit of preparatory work will pay dividends for them. A couple of weeks ago, Christian House rode the entire route of today's stage. Don't be fooled by the accent or the permatan. Christian House is in fact the reigning British road race champion, which explains the white jersey in the all-black team of Rafa. Christian, a couple of weeks ago, the Tour ride came to Stoke, didn't it? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to do the ride with the Stoke, with the Sharp for Prostate guys. So we got to do the entire course, which is good for me because now I actually know the course now. So it gives me a bit of inside information.
Tough little stage today, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We own a post office locally here in Fenton, Stoke-on-Trent. So yeah, I lived here for a short while with my wife, and it's a tough course today. Very, very tough actually.
Up on those exposed peaks, it's going to really blow, isn't it?
Really is, yeah. Especially over the top of Thornercliff there, the top of Gun Hill as well. It's, if it carries on like it is doing it here across the tops there, it could quite easily split apart today.
Yeah, I've actually done the course 3 or 4 times now, so I should know it by heart now. It's quite a tough course. There's some really narrow sections and really exposed over the top of the hills. So it'd be a good day for racing.
And some of the Rafa boys are also considering entering the Race Across America next year. That'll have to wait for now though, because today it's the race across the potteries. Let's join your master potters, Anthony McCrossan and Hugh Porter.
If this was a football match, the referee would be blowing the whistle for the second half. 4 stages down, 4 to go. This is the second shortest leg, 83 miles, with 3 stinging climbs to tackle. Only 1 second separating the yellow jersey Kai Roos from the talented Edvald Bosenhagen in the race for the overall lead. And there are a lot of other riders in the shake-up. So we can expect maybe a day of selection. All the national champions leading the field out here down Sir Stanley Matthews Way.
A massive crowd at the start of this stage of the Tour of Britain as we look there at a man who is feeling maybe his time in the yellow jersey is limited. There are some tough climbs today. Kai Roos of Rabobank.
Well, there's the king of the mountains who's been the man of the match. That's Thomas de Gent, this Belgian, who we just can't contain, and I'm wondering if he will be on the attack from the start again. Well, here is the first attack developing, and that looks like Russell Downing to me. He rides for the local team, and that is of course Candy TV Marshall Pastor. They're based just down the road, and he's already trying to instigate a move, but Team Columbia are all across them like a rash. Another break developing on the left.
It's a big day for Candy TV Marshall's Pastor. Their sponsors are on the line waiting for them to arrive. A big attack at the front looked to me possibly like Ian Stannard of ISD Nieri, and it is as he swings off.
And now it's Barlow World taking on the pace setting at the front. Team Columbia tucked in the wheel tightly, and then Garmin Slipstream are in 3rd position. This first sprint will be at Stone, 13.5 miles covered, 1 kilometre to go then, 1,000 metres before the first real action of the day.
Well, these riders are going to have to be extremely vigilant today because it's very important when we get on the ridge. Very strong side winds, and that means that riders can be in echelon and there can be cracks in the peloton. Candy TV Marshall's Pastor on the front again.
School children out to cheer the riders on. We saw them there, and not right near the front as well was Geoffrey Lecat of Agritubel in the blue on the right, last year's winner. But here he comes. This is the wind-up for the line and the first sprint in Stone. Right on the front we've got Candy TV Marshall Pastor riders. Remember, they are the local base team here, and they would dearly love to nail down the first position. It would get them some great publicity. Now then, these are the closing stages, and it looks like Martin Reimer's up there as well, the German champion. It looks like Reimer is going to tackle for the top spot here. He's coming over the top of Downing, and that's how it's going to be on the line. Reimer takes it, and it looked like Lecat in second, confirmed it was. Downing hung on to third, and Tim Mertens coming in then for the 1 point for fourth.
Well, you certainly cannot say that this British squad aren't trying hard because they're in the moves. Russell Downing in the move there through the sprint. Another move from ISD Nieri at the front.
Now they're heading out of Stone, and of course they'll be going on towards Leek. The roads are going to get pretty heavy from now on, and they look a little undecided at the front here. 1 or 2 Well, feeling as though they'd like to try and make a move and break clear, but the bunch at the moment quite content to cling to them. But 3 have now got away. We thought this would happen. It's only a slender lead, but we've got 3 riders from 3 different teams beginning to distance themselves off the front of the main field.
Well, it's an important day for these riders. They felt that today is the day. Dan Fleeman in white for the Cervelo test team in the trio of riders.
So this is beginning to look promising. 3 riders going away. It's early days though. Well, welcome back, and let me tell you, a couple of weeks ago the public had the chance to ride this stage. All different standards of riders turned up. In fact, there were 1,300 that tackled the challenging course. And there's another tour ride actually taking place this Saturday in London. Details are on the Tour of Britain website. It's all in aid of the prostate cancer charity. The tough moorland terrain tested out some more than others, but at the end of the day it was enjoyed by all. Well, back with the race, and the 3 riders are now heading towards the first climb of the day, Wootton Hill. Now, let me just tidy up the other 2 members of this leading group. We called Dan Fleeman before the break. Well, the other 2 that are with him is Darren Lapthorne on the Rafa Condor team and Alan Marangoni, an Italian, riding on the CSF Navigari.
We're on to the climb of Wootton Hill, 1.7 miles this climb, and we're hearing over Radio Tour now that we've got 1 rider in the gap between these 3 riders and the peloton led by Columbia, and we believe that to be a rider in blue from Agritubel.
Well, we'll wait to see whether or not he can get across, but the lead of the 3 over the bunch, he's approaching 4.5 minutes, and he's trailing the leaders by about 40 seconds, so if he can bridge, it'll be a courageous effort. Now then, Team Columbia look as though they're riding to a game plan here to me. Let me just reinforce my comment at the top of the programme. Their leading rider, Bosenhagen, only trails the yellow jersey by 1 second, so they've probably got something up their sleeve, and there are a lot of hard points on this course where they can make it tell.
Well, it's like a talented train on the front there. Kim Kirschen was the rider who was on the front, and you just go through the team. They've got jersey after jersey from the major tours. They know how to do this. Kirschen, of course, a former maillot jaune, a yellow jersey of the Tour de France, and he's not the only one to have held a jersey in that race.
Well, it's good to see Dan Fleeman up the road here in this leading group. Comes from Lichfield, and he is a man that only has 1 kneecap actually. Had a very bad accident a few years ago.
Well, it doesn't restrict him at all. He also is recovering from a crash in a race called the Bayern-Rundfahrt, which is in Germany. He broke his wrist earlier in the season, but highly motivated today. His wife is at the race, his parents and everyone else. So really wants to produce a good performance.
The problem is with this group, and this is the reason why Columbia are on the front, anxious to try and keep the tempo up, is that 1 rider amongst the 3 is a danger man, and that's Marangoni, the Italian, because he's only 26 seconds behind the overall leader. Now Lapthorne, well, he's well down, he's 46 minutes back, and Fleeman is also well down at 17 minutes. Now, if they hadn't got the Italian with them, those 2 might be allowed to go well clear, but you get the feeling that it's going to be watched and watched closely.
Well, Dan Fleeman's told me that these are the roads that he trains on. He's produced so many kilometres in training over this terrain. He knows it very, very well indeed. Has a quick look at his watch to see what sort of schedule they're on as Marangoni of CSF Navigari goes to the front.
Well, Lapthorne just tucked in at the back there, former Australian champion. He had a go the other day and slipped away in a break, but unfortunately he didn't profit from it, but it's good to see him having another go. But look at this, Team Columbia on the front. They are really going to send a signal out today. They are controlling the peloton, and they are controlling it at a high speed, and that means that they can dictate the terms.
They certainly are. It was Kim Kirschen on the front yet again, as we see Darren Lapthorne sitting on the back of the group. He's just about to take a drink as we make our way towards the top of Wootton Hill.
And after Wootton Hill, the race will head into the Weaver Hills, high above the river Churnet, and not far from that very popular tourist attraction of Alton Towers.
Well, I've been really impressed with the Rafa Condor team. They're keeping the morale as high as possible this week. They've been very jovial first thing in the morning. Tom Southam really the man who keeps them all going. As we see Colombia, this is going to be a long day for them sitting like this. It's a team time trial.
But they are such a polished squad. I mean, the team they've got here is phenomenal, isn't it? Bosenhagen, Lokvist, Tony Martin, Kim Kirchen, Gert Dox, and of course the talented Belgian Maxime Montfort, and they can play any one of those cards to put the rest on the attack.
They certainly can. Well, Fleeman on the front, concentrated as Kirchen continues. He just clicks his way through the gears there, making sure that he keeps the cadence as high as possible.
You get an idea of how hard these roads are. He's just lipping up there, and not a lot, but you can tell that it's hurting because all the riders are forced out of the saddle to dance their way to the top. There we are, crossing the line, and it was the rider in the green over first, and that's Marangoni of Italy picking up the 6 points. And in second spot it was Fleeman, so that just left Lapthorne, the third of that trio, to get the 4 points. Now this is the group once again coming up the stages of the ascent towards the line, but of course enveloped between the head of that group and the leaders is this lone chaser in the blue from Agratubel, and we're waiting to get a close-up of him so we can confirm a name. Here he is coming up now. We didn't quite see the number there, did we?
No, well, it looked to me like it might be the style of the French champion, but look at the gap now, 4 minutes and 25 seconds as they whistle their way down this descent. There are some very technical descents on this course today.
42 seconds only off the back of this three. Now, if this rider from the Agratubel team can bridge, that will be in itself a courageous, brave effort. But then the extra body, of course, to increase the strength to 4, working together, then of course that plays into the hands of the break.
Well, Agratubel really racing hard this week. They've constantly been on the attack. They've tried extremely hard. There's Martin Mortensen on the right-hand side in the sprints jersey, just to tell you. His family live in Birmingham, actually, and they're waiting for him at the finish line.
How interesting. Well, there's Fleeman on the front, and he's a very talented bike rider. He won the overall tour of the Pyrenees actually last year, and he's always there or thereabouts, but somehow or other it just seems to slip away from him. Maybe today he's going to get a good performance on his CV. But Team Colombia at the front, they look so polished, don't they? They're controlling the whole situation here.
Yep, absolutely drilled today, and Fleeman was desperately trying to get some food inside him before he went up the next climb. Looked to me like the king of the mountains moving up. Thomas de Gent, the talented young Belgian whose legs look like they've recovered today.
There he is in the polka dot jersey. Well, he had a bit of a breather yesterday. It was an unheard of thing, wasn't it? But there he is today. He's just on the outside, just beginning to gather himself, no doubt, to try and pick up 1 or 2 of these spare points that are still available. And if he leads the bunch over, he'll pick up 2 to add to what is already building to be quite a healthy lead. And the Belgian now gathering himself, ready for the strike for the line. But let's not forget, ahead, well, I was just going to say, the Frenchman's still going to get on turns, but he's there. And that looks like Vagondi to me, the former French champion, that's bridged the gap. Terrific piece of riding.
Well, he's going to add some real firepower to this breakaway now. It's much better with those numbers as we see the 2 riders going for the sprint, and it looks like 2 leaders' jerseys going for the top of the King of the Mountains.
Certainly does. Let's see who's going to get this as they come over the line. It's going to be very tight. Oh, well, I reckon that De Gent just got pipped there by the man who's wearing the sprint competition jersey. And there it is, that confirms it. Mortensen got the 2, but De Gent picked up a useful 1 to add more to his healthy points tally. Now then, we're heading towards the big climb of the day. Don't go away. Well, welcome back, and the race is now sweeping through the corrugations of the Peak District. High speeds being established on some of these descents.
Well, these 4 riders really motoring as we look here at the formation, one long line in the peloton as they chase these riders down, and the gap is closing a little bit under the pressure of the teams at the head of this race.
You can see the gaps, as Anthony said, developing between the riders as well, because when they are coming down descents, they're touching 40-50 miles an hour. Now he's a hairpin, that will totally disrupt the rhythm, and as you see, the leading rider, he almost completely overshot it, and the rest of the field take the shorter line on the inside.
You've got to be so careful on these corners. They swoop round this very tight right-hander. And just to give you an idea, the riders are riding, many of them, with deep carbon fibre rims on their bikes, and it's very, very difficult to actually get the braking right.
So 51 kilometres to go in the race, and the lead now down to 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So all that good work at the head of the field by the Columbia team has started to chip away at the advantage that these four have worked very hard to establish.
Darren Lapthorne taking a little bit of nourishment on board yet again. Looks like we've got a little bit of a crack in the peloton here.
And the team at the front now is the team of Rabobank, and that is right, good observation. There's about 10 there, but here come the field getting back up to them. There's also the colours of the yellow and white and black, and that is the squad of Columbia. They are not allowing anybody any leeway today. They are looking after their leader, Edvald Bosenhagen, who, remember, only trails yellow by 1 second.
Well, the teams this morning said that they felt that today was going to be the day when a selection was made. A rider having a problem down there as he swings through that left-hander. I think a puncture in the peloton. We're now on to the start of the climb of Gun Hill that everyone's been waiting for.
Well, Gun Hill evokes painful memories for me, because when I was a professional I raced up this, and believe me, it certainly did hurt the legs. This is rated as a category 1 ascent, which means the first rider over the top gets 10 points. It is really, really tough and steep.
1.3 miles, and all the local fans, the bike riders, have crossed their way to Gun Hill to create, I think, what is going to be a great atmosphere. 4 riders, and I tell you what, I bet Dan Fleeman is going to have goosebumps going up here. Local roads, local fans, and he's in the lead.
Well, still the colours of orange and white on the front, and that is the team of Rabobank, and just behind Columbia there in the blue are the Agra Tubel boys. They'll be happy with the developments at the moment, because let us not forget they've got Vugondi down the road in this leading group as the line begins to thin down a little bit now at the front of the main field. But they'll be coming ever nearer now to where it really does ramp up, and believe me, it is steep.
Well, here we are onto the climb as Fleeman sets the pace in the white of the Cervelo test team on the front. Vigondi, you can see him with the yellow shoes on, easy to pick out. Then we've got the CSF Navigari rider next to him in green. But we'll see what sort of damage gets done over the top of Gun Hill, because we then get onto some quite exposed sections. So we could see some big time gaps by the end of today's race. The peloton hit the bottom of the climb.
Over the top of here, they'll go on towards Morridge Edge, and then they run along the boundary of the Peak District National Park for 7 miles. And on a good day, you can almost see the Wrekin in Shropshire, which is about 30 miles away. But just look at the crowd, and the blackboard, or the whiteboard, whichever way you want to call it, shows 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So it's gone back up.
It has gone back up. These riders are producing a great performance on these climbs. For Gondi, look at him. I don't think he can believe how steep this climb is, as he tries to keep the impetus going forward without that bike.
And the riders from the Columbia team on the front still have the power to be able to sit locked still in the saddle. Those legs going up and down like well-oiled pistons as they keep the peloton moving sweetly. But the front of the field here, or the break I should say, is being commanded by Fleeman, and the crowds are out here in their thousands. The race has captured the imagination of the nation. Thousands and thousands out to support the Tour of Britain every day. Now then, is Fleeman going to get the points at the top?
Well, the Agra Tubel team, a couple of the riders suffering here at the back. It was Freddie Bichot who was trying to stay in contact. We're near the top of the climb now, Hugh.
And it is going to be Fleeman. So Fleeman gets it over the top. That'll be a popular first to the summit of the climb. And it looked like Vigondi, there he is, just tucked down, small crouching style. Vigondi second, and you could see the man in the green jersey was third, Maragoni. And the fourth place then going to Lapthorne, and the caption tidies it up for us. That's 10 very nice points for Dan Fleeman.
Well, we're going to race off the top of Gun Hill, and we're going to head to Leek for the next sprint of the day as we see Columbia producing a great performance and causing carnage at the back of the group.
There's one or two riders being sprayed out of the back of the field here. We could have quite a big group tailed off, believe me, because the roads are pretty heavy once you get over the top of here. And the King of the Mountains, he wants some more points. Thomas de Ghent, a man from Belgium. Remember, I keep on about this, but he's a first-year pro, and I reckon one or two of the big teams are going to be trying to snap him up because he's so strong and he can impress in all departments.
Well, he's hot property right now, and I asked him this morning, are you going to go on the attack? And he said, no, I'm not today. I'm going to wait and try now to hold my jersey to London. It's very, very important that I win a jersey in London on Saturday.
Well, he's making a real fist of it, isn't he? Now then, he's going to be fifth over the top of the climb. That'll be another 4 points, thank you very much. And he got 1 on the first climb, so that's 5 more points. And his nearest challengers, well, they haven't challenged him, so it means his lead is going to increase. So Thomas de Ghent having a good day here and making light work of Gun Hill. He's over the top, and he's in fifth position for 4 points. 2 minutes and 13 seconds. Well, it keeps going up and down, doesn't it?
Well, there's confirmation of the result of Gun Hill.
Let me just tidy up the rest of the positions behind de Ghent. It was Tony Martin that came over in 6th spot for 3. Maxime Montfort got the 2, and Thomas Lofkist got the 1. Well, that's Gun Hill behind them. They'll all be really pleased about that. There's one more climb to come at Cheddleton, but that's not too tough. Now, Ned caught up with a couple of veterans earlier today.
Alongside me, I've got a couple of absolute fixtures of the Tour of Britain. You might not recognise them, but then again, you might. This is Andy and this is Alan. Explain yourselves. You have been to every stage of the Tour of Britain since it started.
This is our 6th year, and we've been at the very beginning and the end each day for the 6 years.
That's madness. How did it all start? Explain yourselves.
Many years ago, my dad took me to the milk race, and then since then we've just been following cycling for our British Tour for years, basically.
Do you ride yourselves?
Not as much as I should do. Not at all for my dad, but certainly not as much for me.
So every year you must think, oh, are we going to do this again? And then you think, well, maybe not, and then you end up doing it anyway, or how does it work?
Well, when Andrew got married, he decided that it's time he should give it up, and because of the children. But every year we say no, then we say yes, and he said, have you got the hats, Dad? So I say, yeah, okay then, so I'll go buy the hats, and we start off all over again.
Different hats each year?
We started off with different hats, but this is our 2nd year for these.
Explain the hats. What's the hats all about?
It's basically just so that my wife and my children can see me on the telly, and hopefully other people that would know us can spot us.
And what about hotels and that? Do you stay in caravans or?
No, we book hotels. As soon as they start announcing the route, we start booking them, and groupies right from the very beginning, really.
You must have built up a bit of a rapport with some of the riders as well. They must recognise you and know you.
A couple of the riders wave. It's mainly the police motorcyclists, because we always seem to be in their way at the beginning of each stage. So.
Well, enjoy yourselves. You haven't got too far to travel today. At least it's Stoke to Stoke, isn't it? Who's going to win today?
I reckon we're going for Bosenhagen again. He's got a lot to prove, and now he's signed for Sky. He's going to do it. He's going to be in yellow by the end of the week.
Well, commitment doesn't come much bigger than wearing those hats every day. Back on the road, the 4 leaders passed through the 2nd sprint with a lead of 1 minute 40 seconds. Alain Marangoni pocketing the 5 points. As we pick them up, they're on the 3rd and final climb of the day.
Well, when the riders get to the top of this climb at Cheddleton, there will be just over 20 miles to go. And the leading 4 are certainly not in the comfort zone.
The peloton absolutely flying along now. Yesterday, the riders at one point were clocked at 94 kilometres an hour on one of the descents.
Well, there's the sign that tells us they are starting the final climb of the day. 37 kilometres left in the race, 1 minute and 30 seconds the advantage.
This is Cheddleton, it's half a mile as Dan Fleeman sets the pace for the Cervelo test team on the front, grimacing just a little.
He's looking good though, and he really is inspired today. He has a lot of fans out in this part of the world, and he's been given generous support every time he's topped the climbs.
The rider on the back of the group is Darren Lapthorne, and you know, Hugh, I think you've got to really appreciate his strength of character. His parents have been with him all week. It's an emotional week for him because they commemorate the anniversary of the early death of his sister.
Well, Lapthorne figured in one of the breaks the other day. It didn't pay off in the end, but he certainly played a key part in this one. And of course we must take our hats off to Nicolas Vagondi, the Frenchman, who came out of the peloton and bridged to the three that had already taken off. Well, question you've got to ask yourself now, as distance is beginning to run out to the finish, can they stay there?
Well, 1 minute and 30 seconds is not a big advantage, but the run-in to Stoke-on-Trent is rolling, and therefore, you know, they could pick up a little bit more time. Like we saw yesterday, the gap came back, and then it went back out again.
Now the Italian here, Marangoni of Italy, every day when he comes onto the podium to start the stage and sign on, he's always got a few words to say.
He has. Well, the last few days he's been talking to Becky, who's one of the presentation girls on the Tour of Britain, and saying that she's cold each day, so he'd bring his jacket to her. And he did that this morning and said if she wore it during today's stage, it'd bring him luck. And he's in the breakaway now.
Well, there we are. Just shows, doesn't it? So Marangoni's been in the break all day. And he is 21st overall at 26 seconds, so he's had a good stage, this tough stage here in Stoke, that's taken on the two climbs and just this final ascent for them to negotiate. There we are, that's Nicolas Vagondi, the former French champion, looking good, but I must admit the line out of the Columbia train at the front of the main field tells you, doesn't it, that once they've topped this climb, they're going to put the switch down.
Well, I'm thinking really about the job of Vagondi in here because, of course, last year's winner was Geoffroy Lecat, and I think Vagondi was put up here really to police the breakaway for Geoffroy Lecat maybe to win the race again, but he's put in a great effort today.
So the formation of the team still at the front, there is really no change, no one's gone up to challenge them. We have seen the occasional appearance of one of the Rabobank riders when they felt that they could help with the pace setting, but really it's just been all about this talented Columbia team. And the crowds, you can see all along the way as we're approaching now the line at the top of the climb of Cheddleton. And it looks like Vagondi is going to come over the top first. No, in actual fact it was Fleeman, so Fleeman was over first and Vagondi second, and the caption confirms that Marangoni came over third, Lapthorne fourth. Just 4 points available, or 4 places for points available on that climb because it was a third category.
Well, there is Fleeman as he takes a gel out of his pocket. Just to give you a bit of an idea, really, they take gels to give them nutrition during the stage. But at this point in the stage, they'll take one with a little bit of caffeine in it, just to perk them up a bit. And they'll start to also maybe take a bit of protein drink to repair the muscles for tomorrow in preparation for the stage.
Well, Lapthorne at the back, just puffing a little bit. Let's hope he's okay and he's not getting too fatigued. He was just, he looked a little bit uncomfortable to me, I must admit.
Well, we've got to think, really, he's been in 2 days of long breakaways, so the lactic acid in those legs very difficult to get rid of and to repair as we see them whistling down yet another descent, and Vagondi just having a bit of a stretch.
And the sun has come out, and that's just exactly what we want for the riders to tackle the final miles into Stoke. The bunch coming over the top of the climb, 34 kilometres to go. The lead 1 minute and 31 seconds. Everything to play for.
Welcome back. Inside the final 20 kilometres, the break of 4 became 3 as Darren Lapthorne sat up and was then promptly swept up. That left just 3 riders to contest the final sprint. Again, Marangoni was allowed to cash in. And as we rejoin the action, they've reached the outskirts of Stoke. The bunch, though, are in hot pursuit.
Now we're all asking ourselves who is going to tidy up this stage. And it looks very much to me as though the bunch are going to bring back the leaders. They know they're on borrowed time.
Well, these 3 riders are looking very urgent now, but look, there is the peloton who are boring down on them. It looks to me like their time in the lead is about to come to an end, but Marangoni giving it one last big turn.
And riders at the back of the peloton are literally clinging to the coattails of the field. There was number 1 there, actually, Geoffroy Lecat, last year's winner.
Oh, he's hanging on at the back, but it looks to me, Hugh, that this is not the full peloton that we left with this morning. I think there's a few riders, well, quite a few riders, who've been tailed off under the speed of this peloton today. Remember, 46 kilometres an hour for the first hour of racing.
The race now in full cry as the people of Stoke are on the roadside here cheering them on, and the pressure is being applied, and you can see the group at the front, and it looks to me as though they've sat up. I reckon they've sat up and they know they're beaten, so the group now coming up, and on the left Vigondi's first to go back to the peloton, but it looks like the Italian's still keen to take it on here. Marangoni, he's having another go.
Well, he's trying to go away here, and Dan Fleeman, he's now going back to the peloton. Marangoni making a bid for victory, trying to do a Kairos.
And this is another one of those little drags that can hurt the legs on the final approach to the finish. Now the Italian digging deep, he will not give in. He said, I'm not going to be absorbed by the group, I'm going to have a go on my own, and that's exactly what he is doing. And at the moment he's got the bunch pegged at about 80 metres. Surely he can't hold them off.
Well, this is an impressive effort from Marangoni, but remember, this is the first uphill finish of this year's Tour of Britain, so it suits a different type of rider. He's now been caught.
Well, all back together, status quo, 5 kilometres left, 3 miles. Now then, the whole field together here, barring those, of course, that lost contact on the big climb, are in the shake-up for the sprint.
Well, I just thought he'd been caught, but he's still holding them off. Noticing the peloton, which is a great ride today, Ian Wilkinson of the Halfords Bike Hut team, who crashed really heavily yesterday, and he said he felt like he'd been run over on the start line today, and he's still in the mix here.
He's covered in bandages, but he will not give in. Now then, let me just tell you that the approach to the line, it's deceptive. It is really hard. There's several little climbs for them to negotiate before the final drag all the way up to the line, and that twists and turns, and really it's about who has got the power and strength. It is a real cardio test.
So 4 kilometres now to go to the finish with Tony Martin on the front. Marangoni has been washed away, and he'll do very, very well indeed. There is Wilkinson on the back in the orange colours. Marangoni will do well just to even stay here for the finish.
Also, Riders and Katusha are up there as well. They're probably trying to set it up for Pizzato, because Pizzato is a powerful sprinter as well, former winner of the Milan-San Remo. It really is everything to play for now as Colombia come on the front of the field.
So Katusha looking for their first stage win in this year's Tour of Britain. Ben Swift was one of the first attackers of the day as Wilkinson digs really deep on the wheel of Brice Fayou, the winner of a stage of the Tour de France this year.
Well, more reinforcements coming up on the outside of the field here. So the Colombia men are trying to re-establish themselves right on the head of the field, and Katusha want a slice of the action as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see 1 or 2 riders from the Garmin slipstream coming through, because they'll be trying to look after the interests of Sutton. But it is Katusha that are on the front now. 3 kilometres to go. This is going to be a breathtaking finish.
While all the sprinters are being surfed onto the right wheels by their lead-out men. I've just noticed the Candy TV Marshall's Pasta squad trying to bring Russell Downing through to the front for a win for the local squad. But Katusha have got Pizzato in a perfect position.
So they've also got Napolitano as well as another good finisher. And Ben Swift, if he's in the mix as well, he's pretty strong in the closing stages. But now Colombia will be happy, the team of Colombia, because they've got right onto the head of the race, and that's exactly what they wanted to do. They've worked furiously all day to try and contain the bunch, and now they're looking for the final payoff to try and clinch the stage. Just caught a glimpse there of number 114, and that's one of the riders from the Cervelo test team. 2Ks to go.
Talking about the Cervelo test team, they are looking to try and lead out by the looks of things. Serge Pauwels, of course, who rode so well in the Giro d'Italia earlier on in the season for Carlos Sastre, but Katusha still have control. Here come Euskaltel, Euskadi in the orange colours, looking after the interests, I think, today of Coldo Fernandez.
Or it could even be Aitor Galdos. He's another one that can finish and mix mix it with the best, but at the moment it's Katusha on the front. They want this stage if they can get it. Now then, the two of them trying to hold off anybody else that's trying to get their nose in front. 3 riders from Colombia lined up there. The train of the Colombia lead out. You can see the way it ramps up all the way to the top. Then there's a left-hander. It dips down, twist and a turn into the hard finishing straight. And 1 or 2 are really finding it hard at the back now. 1 kilometre to go.
The riders are in absolute pieces here as they try now to power their way into the right position in the peloton to win this stage.
Well, let's not forget 12 months ago, because Boasson Hagen was the winner of the stage. He knows this finish well, and it does favour his style of riding. And it was in the final metres 12 months ago that he tidied up that stage victory. Nobody's got a chance here further down. They're just clinging to the wheels in front. But it is the Team Colombia now that's got a firm stranglehold on the head of the race. The orange on the left is one of the riders from the Escatel team trying to come through. There's no pushing and shoving here. It's all about establishing your position on the final run into the line. And Colombia have the head of the race. Now this is where the strength will really pay off. Somebody's trying to go for an early lead out there on the left. It is the rider from Katusha, and I'm betting that is Pizzato, because he was the man that was challenging earlier on. But look at this, it's Boasson Hagen. Boasson Hagen has got away from the rest. He's got extra speed to spare. Here he comes up to the line. The Norwegian wins his 3rd stage here of the tour. I say win because he's flying away from the rest. Look at this, Boasson Hagen takes it on the line. Just no problem for him at all. Now then, what about second? It was Katusha over the line second, and that was Pizzato. Looked like the little fella from the local team as well coming through, and that was Russell Downing for 3rd. What a finish that was. Boasson Hagen had the last say.
Wonderful, wonderful Boasson Hagen. A win which hardly came as a surprise, but then again, surprise is overrated. Back in 3rd place, though, a very strong ride from Russ Downing. Boasson Hagen's a tough nut to crack, isn't he? I mean, you're going to be teammates next year, but he's some rider, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm quite happy I'm teammates with him next year. It'll be make for a brilliant season, and it's I said, Ireland proved where I should be, and I think this is a notch into it, and everyone look forward to next year, including myself.
There's simply no containing the Norwegian on this race as he brushed aside the challenge of Downing and Filippo Pozzato. A strong ride from Simon Clark, who was on the attack yesterday, but Chris Sutton lost a little ground coming in 9th. Ian Wilkinson finished 46 seconds down, but in good enough spirits for a little showboating. Edvald Boasson Hagen has now equalled his tally of stage wins in 2008. This is his 3rd win in as many days. It also pushed him past Chris Sutton to the top of the table in the points competition awarded for consistently high placings in the stage finishes. Another more modest day for Thomas de Gent, who rode out only 1 point in the sprints competition, but he's amassed so many points in both that and the King of the Mountains that he remains unthreatened. He gained 2 mountain points on the road today. Edvald Boasson Hagen winning this stage less by stealth than by repetition.
I knew I went early last year, just out from the corner, the last roundabout, and I did it last year, so I tried the same this year. And I had really good help the whole day from my teammates. It was really, really nice and good to have them.
He now leads GC by 9 seconds. Kai Royce hangs on to 2nd place. Chris Sutton at 14 seconds in 3rd, and Russ Downing's 4-second time bonus bumps him up to 5th place. 34 seconds separate the top 10. Well, look who I've bumped into. My old wingman from last year's Tour of Britain, none other than Olympic gold medalist Paul Manning. Paul, welcome back to the Tour of Britain. Deja vu, isn't it? Boasson Hagen winning in Stoke?
I know, it feels just a short 12 months ago we were talking about the very same feat that he won here in Stoke.
Absolutely. He's got 3 more stages, and I mean, you couldn't rule out him in the current form, winning all 3 of them, and obviously winning the yellow jersey.
Exactly, these time bonuses might be all he needs to keep that yellow jersey on his shoulders, and everyone else has been commenting today how strong that Colombia team are, so maybe they'll back him all the way to London.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as we know, Dave Brailsford has signed him for Team Sky. I mean, assuming Team Sky ride the Tour de France next year, could you see him competing at the business end of that race, do you think?
I think so. It's an intriguing question whether he'll get a free rein to sort of ride in an event like the Tour de France for Team Sky, and whether he'll push Mark Cavendish all the way on some of those sprint stages, seeing his form here.
Absolutely fascinating. And Paul, just very briefly, you have now joined the academy set up there, and one of your responsibilities is producing this fabled Tour de France winner that's got to happen, British Tour de France winner in the next 4 or 5 years. Any prospect of that?
Well, I hadn't thought about it in those terms, Ned, but certainly the development of the young British talent that we have coming through the system is an exciting prospect for me. And there's every chance that some of those guys that start with the academy in November could be on start line in London and could go on to great things and ultimately maybe win the Tour de France within the next few years. Yeah,
well, you don't need me to remind you of the fact that Paul Manning is the last British stage winner of the Tour of Britain back in 2007. So that's a bogey series that we need to end. Maybe it'll end tomorrow as the Tour hits the southwest and we go from Frome to Bideford. See you there.